Hello and welcome to the Good Values podcast. Now for season 2, we are starting off with a great guest. This is someone who is from a handful of artists who were a great inspiration to me when I started drawing back in 2014. I was fortunate enough to get him as a guest. I've mentioned him a couple of times on previous episodes from late last year. I was talking about how I was in negotiations and it finally came through. It was an amazing conversation. Now, if you want to see the full episode, I will be uploading full 1 hour long conversations, if not maybe slightly longer, on the Good Values podcast channel. So I'm launching that now for the second season, and I'll be also uploading the first season's episodes on there as well. But that will be uploaded this week. So this is, the second week of March in 2023. So without further ado, this is my conversation with Jared Muralt. I asked you about the design for Their Dad and whether or not it was Vincent Cassel, and you said it was. And I wanted to ask whether there are any other recognizable people who we might find in the comic.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, absolutely. I also put some friends in it, and I also put to be honest, I also got asked if by some people, like it's not just one, but a couple, to put them in the comic, and as a reward, they paid like a print run for a single issue. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of they really wanted to be in the comic, and I in the beginning I felt like strange about that request, and but it's still on me, like to decide if someone's visage like the face matches the story, and if it does, why not? I mean, it even gives the character a much deeper, how can I say? I mean, it takes place just after the collapse, and some people might survive, and I mean, if I take some, not for Vincent Cassel, I mean, that was like, I just was looking for an appealing face character for the kid's dad. But in order to like let some people appear in my comic, I mean, nobody can. It's just their faces, they cannot decide whether they die or not.
I was about to ask.
Yeah, that was like a request.
And I need a thief in the story.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And sometimes there are like one or two characters you can choose from.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are just none. And yeah, this is I mean, in the end, if it's not interrupting like the story I want to tell, so why not? I mean, it's like to me it's or for people it's a great way to support the series, and if you really like it, and then you see yourself in the series, whether you like your appearance or not. That's not in my this is just how it goes,
Yeah.
And I think it's a great way to fund the series, or like be a patron somehow, you know.
Yeah. Do you set up a photo shoot with them, or do you use their social media, or how do you source the likeness?
No, like they sent me pictures, and I start drawing. I mean, I'm not going to, like I said before, I'm not going to. I don't copy those pictures. I create a character based on the pictures I have. Um, Usually, when I introduce a new character, which is not just like, even if it's a smaller side character, I do a 360-degree turnaround figure. I posted a couple on Instagram.
There was one I was going to ask you about. I think it's the chap with the beard that you did a turnaround of in, I think it was 2017. This was, and
yeah, this was was the original idea for the dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I came up with the story, I was not sure if from what point on in the story I'm going to write the story. So the original idea was just post-apocalyptic, and then I realized when I do like a apocalyptic story, I also want to show the whole process, how everything goes down and how everything changes. And yeah, the guy with the beer is originally the dad in its earliest appearance.
So is there, this is a bit of more of a technical question, because I'm curious about certain considerations you would have to take in order to do long form storytelling. Is there a kind of either a file folder on your computer, or a kind of a board where you have a, what do you call it, like a kind of a notice board with kind of pins in it, where you have for continuity of, okay, now if Sophia scrapes her knee and rips her jeans, those jeans have to stay ripped until she replaces those jeans.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you keep track of those continuity? I mean, it's such a small technical question, but I'm curious.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I just try. I give my best to do it.
Just look back and go, right,
I don't have actually like a technique or strategy to do this. I mean, there are certain things that appear, and up to this point, like issue 9, there are only a few things that actually change in the character's appearance.
I see.
But the further the story goes, the more things will change. And I started to sketch the characters from issue to issue and add those little things so that I remember them. But in fact, drawing comics is such a to me a process that repeats itself, like from one panel to the other, so often. It just kind of sticks to my mind if something changes. It's like I have to draw it so many times. And also the process, how I start drawing a new issue is like, I just draw the whole issue only in really rough pencils, and then I work every page, I work out a little bit more detailed. And if then on the last page I figure, or I realize that maybe that clock is on the wrong hand, on the wrong how do you say, not
Watch.
wrist? What the watch is on the wrong wrist or on the wrong side. Then since it's still a pencil sketch stage,
I see.
it's really easy to change it in every next phase of production. I mean, there are like 3 pencil stages before the final ink.
Oh, wow.
So sometimes even in the end of the story, something happens, or I realize this would be cool if this character would have this. I still can go back and redraw it on every previous page, add it on every. For example, Jimmy, the guy with the helmet, he has like 2 clocks on his wrist, and those are he looted those clocks actually, but this is something that came to my mind only on the very last pages. So I had to add it on every previous page, but since I still was working on the pencil stage, it wasn't a problem. I could just add it, like. And then I drew it so many times that I draw every character so many times. If I do like those, yeah, it's just repeat, and it's just. I mean, I don't even know how the characters look like when I started the whole series.
Yeah.
It's just a process that's going on with the story, with me, and with the characters itself.
Just evolves as it continues.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Because I've seen you can get very good elevated views of the city to so is that something which you do? Do you actually go out and see it in person, kind of almost like a plein air visit? I mean, not necessarily to sit and draw it, but is that something that you've done? Have you done extensive life drawing? Plein air?
I walk a lot. I also try to walk to my studio, which is about a half an hour walk. One way. And there are always some specific details that it's stuck to my mind somehow. And sometimes I also do pictures with my phone. And I collect all those information. Like it's not only about the architectural stuff. It's also scenes, dialogues. I hear just everything. I just collect, and then if it sticks to my mind, it's usually a good one, and the bad ones just flourish away.
Yeah. What would you recommend to someone who is thinking about becoming an artist, but they themselves don't feel as though there's adequate education in drawing, painting, observing and appreciating life? What would you advise someone to do if they're going to venture into the industry?
I think in the first place, I would not try to get into the industry.
Really?
No, not in the first place.
No.
I would recommend to just do it for your own good, just for the passion you feel. Because once you're in the industry, you get confronted with your origin passion you have for the craft, because it's just not the same, it's just drawing stuff you have to draw. It's not the same, like, for example, if you just love ships like I do, drawing ships, it's just like it just comes. I mean, you draw it as long until you really master it, you know. You can't do that when you're in the industry. You just have to draw. You have to have a basic knowledge and the basic skills to adapt, you know. I think this is the most important thing, because otherwise you lose your passion about what you do. Yeah, I think it's really important to understand the process of learning. Like, if, for example, the human body, human figure, I mean, it's so hard to draw a human body if you're not used to it. And then once you figure out that you're absolutely not capable of drawing like the human figure, even without clothes, you know, I mean, adding like t-shirt or pants or clothing, I mean, then it's an absolutely new layer adding to the already very difficult proportions and everything like that. But I think, I mean, like, the human body is something like really, it's just the center of so many things, you know, like especially in art, I think. And it's such a good way to train yourself how to learn, you know, how to master something, like being able, I mean, yeah, being able to first understand it and then reproduce it on paper or on screen. And I mean, I went to figure drawing, like the nudes. How do you say that in English?
Life drawing.
Life drawing. This is life drawing. Okay. I went there for 2 years in art school, like 1 year in art school, and then when I did my like this job as an interior designer, I took those courses, and I was absolutely impressed how some people could just draw those figures, you know. And then I realized this is really important. If you want to draw, you have to be able to draw a human figure. And I really started to learn anatomy, like the theory of drawing figures, and I repeated it so many times. I mean, I've filled sketchbook after sketchbook with just so many crabby, shitty figure drawings, and I was so depressed, and yeah, it was like really unimaginable how someone can just draw like a beautiful or a natural, correctly looking and figure, you know, like a human figure. And then after like drawing those figures several thousand times, again and again, also every day, I became better by just understanding how things work, how not just to make a nice drawing, like copying like a nice figure, but really, like I said before, understanding the essence of a human body. It's not, I mean, I tried to learn every muscle, and but half of them I forgot already. But in the end, it's just about like understanding it, like becoming a feeling of it, you know, and then you can draw it. And I think this is like learning it the hard way, just doing it, failing, and getting better with getting just a little bit better with every drawing, and every little piece that's better than the previous drawing, that is a motivation to continue, you know. And suddenly you understand how a nose works, or how an eye work, and then after another 100 drawings, you messed up. Suddenly, you manage to put them into a face, and then maybe just turn it, and then okay, this is how it actually is. So this is how I'm gonna draw it. Like just on this basic understanding of things, and you have to. I think at least this is how I think. One has to understand exactly that learning process before someone goes into the industry, because then you can adapt. Suddenly you have to draw like horses. And then since you have like the most difficult task already behind you, you can just adapt. You know what lays ahead, and you're crappy in drawing horses. But if I do it now, like repeat it again and again, I know I have the experience of learning and then adapt it for the tasks ahead. And this goes for everything. I think this is just like basic learning. Like this is how I learn. And and you have to be passionate to be able to go through that process. And if you have like a pressure coming from a company or coming from somewhere else, then then it's getting really ugly, I think.
Yeah, it'd be stressful.
And it gets even ugly and stressful by your own expectations, But those are good in the end, because if you're honest, if something is right or wrong. But you have to train your eyes and your understanding of what you're going to draw. You have to study before you actually reproduce it somehow.
Yeah, it's kind of the fundamentals, I suppose, isn't it, of understanding perspective, proportion, the figure, and tone and form and things like that. Because you've got this background of graphic design and kind of graphic illustration kind of experience, did you hand do certain lettering, and then you kind of found certain fonts that were more quite, because I mean, it seems like it's a great font that you use for the letter. I'll see if I can find it for the viewers. I don't know what the font is called, but it's very
this is my hand lettering.
Is that your hand lettering?
Well, it's like it's a font that we created with my letters.
You did that alphabet, and then you That's fantastic.
Because I use it for English, French. I mean, it's really easy for the other languages to, and also it's really nice to have, because when I write dialogue, I rewrite it a lot, and sometimes only when I finished everything else, and then I read a dialogue and I realize, no, this is not really how this character is saying this. So I can rewrite it, and I don't have to do it by hand, but with the font I have.
That's fantastic. You posted fairly recently about doing a cover for the band Clutch. Is there anything you'd like to talk about for that? Because that's got to be a big deal for you. It's a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, it actually was. Yeah, it was a great opportunity. And since I really absolutely loved the band, it was a great honor to be commissioned for their new album.
So did they reach out to you?
Yeah. I mean, it started, Neil ordered a book from me over, I think he discovered my works on Instagram a couple of years ago. And he ordered the book, The End of Bon Voyage, like the flying ship. And I didn't realize that actually it was himself. It was him who ordered the book, and my studio colleague was like, did you notice who actually bought your book? I was like, no. And then, oh wait, and then it clicked, you know, and I made him a beautiful special drawing in the book, and he obviously liked it. And then we stayed in touch like a little bit, and then yeah, after COVID or during COVID, they came up with this new album. They shared their ideas and song texts and the content of all the songs with us or with me, and then gave me absolutely free hand, you know, like just go with the flow, do whatever you like.
Yeah.
Just try to bring some of the stuff I mean, it's obvious, you know, I'm not gonna draw horses if it's all about cars, you know. But, yeah, and then I just like when I draw specific stuff, I just go in like almost like into trance, like pictures show up, and I yeah, they they fed me with all those information, and then something I just started doing all the sketches, and then I sent them the sketches, and they decided which one they liked most, and then I went into that like further, and worked it out. It was really, really cool, being free, you know, like just give me the space just to do whatever I want.
It was really nice to see on Instagram the rough sketches next to the finished sketch. I mean, they were smaller than what I initially thought there was, because there was quite a few images to look through, and it was really interesting because you'd done back cover and then different. Was it the insert? Was there a fold out insert? Because it looked as though you'd done quite a few images, which is really nice to see. And am I right in thinking this is from memory? There was kind of almost a hat on one character, which almost looked like a Mobius style tall hat. Am I imagining that, or was that?
I think on the back cover, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah, I love those designs. What's the most beautiful thing you've seen today?
My kid's sleeping. One of my kids sleeping.
Yeah,
that's just crazy.
That is beautiful.
It's just, I don't know. It's me and my girlfriend had a discussion about exactly that yesterday, because it was like the most beautiful thing I saw yesterday too.
Really?
And it's like a really like the state where they just fell asleep. That's like they're like clearly like running around like they're 5, almost 6, like always in motion. But then before they go to sleep, it's like really, really calm, and they're in state. We as adults don't know that state of being, you know, and to watch that, it's just amazing.
Yeah. Like, what do you like and what don't you like about your own artwork?
Okay, that's a good one.
Again, one from my art mentor. She's very clever.
Yeah. The great thing about it, about my art, is that I can actually, like in comics, like I can just do whatever pop up. Like I can visualize whatever comes to my mind. That's the absolute. I mean, it's just great, you know, just creating that. The part that I don't love or like is it never um, it never comes out like I wanted, like I planned it, you know. I can do it, but it's never turning out the way I wanted it exactly. Sometimes better, mostly not, but different. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
That's brilliant. The last thing that I do ask people, guests, is, do you have any social media that you'd like to promote? Because I'll be putting all the links in the description, but is there anything you'd like to send people to? Because obviously you've got the shop. So
yeah, there is Patreon, of course, which is like my main base, I would say. And there's also Instagram, my Instagram as well. So that's,
you don't have a YouTube channel
Behance as well, but we have a really small YouTube channel. Yeah,
I'll have to check it out. Well, yeah, fantastic. I mean, I really appreciate you being a guest. It's been a real treat and great to be able to pick your brain. And hopefully in the future, after you've got your maybe next project on the go, I don't know how much longer, because if you know the finale of the fall, I'm curious. I was going to ask you about what the next project would be, but I suppose that's going to be a little bit. Have you considered what our next project would be, or are you just concentrating on this for now?
It will certainly be. Well, there will be 6 books of the fall. I'm quite in the middle right now, and after that, I will go for Bogland, which is something I'm sketching and writing down ideas since a couple of years now, and it's a universe that's growing.
Oh wow! Are you going to have ships? You're going to be able to introduce ships?
No, it's like with big box and kind of fantasy, sci-fi. Buck Rider. Yeah, something like that.
That's exciting. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on here. I really appreciate it. I will leave all the links in the description below for this video. So obviously everyone who's watching, please go and support and check out Jared's work, because it is fantastic, as you've already seen. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a great pleasure and interesting talking to you.
What an amazing guest. Wasn't that a fantastic conversation? He was such a nice guy, really generous with his time, and I really appreciated him sending me all this different bits of materials for his work. So a lot of the videos and the inserts that I used were things that he sent to me in order for me to provide the images whilst we were talking about what he was doing and why. I thought it was a really interesting chat. I hope to have him on again in the future. Check out all of his links down below in the description. He's a fantastic artist. He's got Patreon, Instagram, and all that stuff that we mentioned earlier, so go and support him if you can, and check him out on Instagram, because he's got a fantastic account on there. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.